I'm going to show you how to do a quick tutorial on a little apple or orchard basket. This was very easy to make, very simple, and I had a lot of fun doing it, so I want to share it with you. I'm going to put this over here, and the first thing we're going to do is start with a ball of white gum paste and roll it into a cylinder shape. That's what I like to do. You could do a ball, but I prefer to do it this way because you're going to be smashing it down anyway. From touching the other basket, I kind of got some of the brown on here, and I'm not going to worry about it. The first thing you do is you take a tool or anything you have and just pick which side you want to be the top. Doesn't really matter. And poke a hole in the top. And try to go down as much as you can. And if you find your gum paste or fondant is sticking, you could put a little bit of cornstarch or powdered sugar or even maybe some Crisco on there, just to kind of help it not stick. So what you're going to do is get in here and just move it around. Don't go all the way through. You don't want puncture marks. But you're just trying to put a hole through the middle so you can get in there later on with your finger and manipulate it to stretch it out. But this is just kind of giving you the access that you're going to need to get in there later on and do the smoothing. So this is the very beginning. Okay, let's see if I can do it. I can, a little bit. Try to keep pressing down on the bottom because you want there to be a flat base so it could stand, which you can always smooth it out on the counter afterwards. I have a crack here. Don't worry about that because we're going to be kind of going over that anyway and trying to make things like that to give it some texture and dimension, if you will. Let's just go through, and you can see I'm just kind of pinching the sides out. I'm trying to give it that shape. And maybe a little bit bigger. You don't want it too thin because you don't want it to break on you. And if you're using gum paste, you probably won't have that problem anyway. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to do it like this. And see how the top cracked? That's okay because we kind of want to do that anyway to it. So I'm going to take this and I'll use the ball part just because it's easy to maneuver. And I'm going to go through and kind of give it a smashing on the bottom just to make sure that the bottom is flat and sets flush to the counter. Okay, so I think that's okay for now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take any kind of a blade, okay, or a blunt object, anything like that that's straight, and go through and carefully, very carefully, we're going to go down and give it lines, like panels. Okay, and you could do it how big or how small you want. It's totally and completely up to you. You can go opposite and then go back kind of like you're cutting a pie or something and make sure they're even. Or you could just do it randomly. And I think the more random it is, the better it looks. But that's just my preference. Okay, so I scored it now with the sharp part. Now I'm going to turn my blade over and get into the grooves and just kind of widen them up a little bit to give it some depth and texture. Okay, now I'm not cutting all the way through. So on the inside you're not going to be able to see my cut marks just from the outside. And that's what I want because I don't want to mess up the structure of this. So when it sits, I don't want it to fall apart on me. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going through and exaggerate the panels here, the separations. I don't want them running together. And when we're done doing all this, and when we start painting, you're going to see all this stuff come out really, really well. It's going to look really nice. So even if you had a wider tool, it would probably be a little bit more effective, but just for the little video, I'm just going to use this and kind of wing it back and forth to open it up. There's another tool that comes with like the wilting kit that would probably do a lot better with this, but it's out of my reach right now and I'm not going to go looking for it. So this will work fine for now. And like I said, anything you have. If you have just a regular butter knife in your drawer or anything, whatever's handy and useful, use it. Okay, so now we did that. The next step is to take anything that would have like a sharp point to it, a toothpick or this tool, I think it's a leaf veining tool, whatever, and you just go through and randomly just hole it up, okay? A lot of this is going to be covered anyway, you're not going to really see it, so it doesn't have to be perfect. That's why these little cracks here, it doesn't matter if there's cracks, because we're going to be doing this kind of stuff to it anyway. We're going to be putting some age to it and some character to it. So it's almost like a cartoony looking thing. We're just going to keep putting random holes wherever. Okay. Now what I like to do is, you could probably at this time go through and just give it some stress marks like this. You could, you don't have to. In the other bucket I made, I just totally skipped this step, and it still looks pretty good. For the sake of this, let's just go ahead and do it because we can. And I have this handy. And the only problem with this is when you're doing it, it's hard to tell if you've already done the panel or not. But when you color it, I know it's going to come out looking a lot more distinct, and you're going to see it a lot better. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little manicure scissors, and that's why this little thing up here is perfect, because every so often, no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever, you're going to come in and cut just a little piece off. See that? Okay, now I'll come over on this side here and just cut a little corner off there. And maybe I'll skip one and come here and just take that off, and maybe I'll just do a little one up here. Okay? Then you could take your blade again, come through, and just kind of slice it down a little, and slice it there, because it's, been worn and aged. These people, whoever use these buckets, I'm sure you don't see them and they're brand new. They always have some kind of distinctive marks on them, and wear marks. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So now basically you have a rough bucket. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I went ahead with the extruder and I made these little fettuccine looking things. I'm going to see which one measures the best, because I'm going to have one going around as the band on top and one on the bottom. So I think this one will be fine for the top, and any size, because it gets smaller, will be fine on the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is take my glue, and I'm going to, I don't know if you could see this or not, but I'm gluing the back of the band. I'm not gluing the actual bucket because I don't want to risk getting too many shiny spots. And when you put glue or any kind of water on your bucket and it hasn't been painted yet, you'll get these shiny little things that there's no dust or anything in the world that could take them away. So I'm trying to avoid that as much as I possibly can. So here I go wrapping it, trying to keep it straight, because these things they usually are. So you can see I kind of covered up a hole or two, and that doesn't matter. To me it looks a lot better that way, because it looks more natural. It looks real. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one there. Okay, then I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to apply the glue or water, whatever you happen to be using, whatever's handy and easiest, and apply it to the bottom. And I'm going to try to make the back seam match up with the other one, just so if I put it on a cake or a cupcake, I'll know which way will be the front. Okay, so here I'm going to just pinch that part off and put this down like that. Okay, now it doesn't have to be totally perfect. It could, I don't think you could really mess this up, because it's so cute, and especially when you're done painting it, it just comes together so nicely. It just looks adorable. Okay, so that's this part of doing the basket. Okay, we're going to get on to the painting next.